Hello, everyone. Welcome to Going Solo with Cece. You're on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are the #1 internet singles talk network, and we're so pleased to have you here with us tonight. Of course, let's do our homework right away. I am the doyenne of relationship building. My name is Cece Schatz, and our website is goingsolomedia.com, which is right above me here, so you guys can have a look at it. But go to it because all of our wonderful hosts are on there with wonderful shows that they really, truly work hard to be able to share with you. And so I know that you'll resonate with one or more of those shows. But let's move on very quickly with the goingsoloNetwork.com. You know, all of our information is right there, along with our wonderful radio station here, our internet, TV, and radio. So we are going to move on because we've got a wonderful guest tonight. I don't want to waste any time because we're going to bring her right forward here so you guys can have a look at her. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It is great having you. We have Dr. Susan Korb Bernstein. She's an experienced, certified divorce coach. She helps individuals pre, during, and post-divorce, really helps you save time and money and headaches. And that's for sure. And so we want to make sure that you guys understand that traveling through divorce sometimes can be very challenging, but when you have someone in your corner that's experienced, that knows the ins and outs and really truly understands the emotional part along with the legal part, it really makes it a lot smoother, doesn't it? Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it.
It is great having you. Now, you have done a lot of work with high conflict. Really high conflict clients. Your coaching, your specialty is in that. You also do a lot of work with, helping with that transition, the recovery of divorce, and also specialize with special needs. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about divorcing with children with special needs. And Susan is one of our elite guests, and we want to thank her for that, for supporting our Going Solo network and all that she does right here with us. So we really do want to thank her for that. So tell us, Susan, how did you get into really turning towards being a certified coach and helping others through this very difficult time?
Absolutely. What I can tell you is that in my prior career, I was an educator for 20 years, a teacher, a school administrator, college professor, and educational consultant. And then in 2014, the same way people came to me for advice related to education, they started coming to me for advice related to divorce. And I just called myself a divorce consultant. I switched over from education consultant to divorce consultant. And a couple of years later, I heard about the Certified Divorce Coach program. I trained in it and I loved it. And now I actually teach the graduate class for the other certified divorce coaches. So it all fell nicely together with my background in education, tying in the coaching.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I know you yourself, had a difficult time with your divorce. And so often when that happens, we do tend to, want to pay that back. We want to take what we've learned through our, difficult situations, share it with other people and embrace them so that they don't have to kind of experience what we've had to experience. And I want to thank you for doing that. So let's talk a little bit about our subject tonight, divorcing with children with special needs, because that is very sensitive, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we've heard, the numbers that half this country gets divorced, but the numbers related to divorces with special needs children is that 80% of families that have a special needs child will divorce before that special needs child is 21. So it's extremely high.
Yeah, I can imagine because, the care, the emotional ups and downs, roller coaster ride that you go on is very, very difficult. And so the stress of the family unit is strong, very strong within that. So how do we move forward in, if we're looking at getting a divorce, if we're looking at separating, how can we do this in a fashion that we can still keep intact our family unit without being so, distraught? Or is that possible? Because sometimes we do have a very difficult partner at times. And so let's talk about that a little bit. How can we maybe move through this a little bit easier?
Absolutely. And like you said, the tensions are very high. The same way no one gets married thinking they're going to get divorced, no one has a child thinking they're going to have special needs and extreme special needs. For some people. And so, of course, when someone comes to me pre-divorce, I do actually talk to them about, is it fixable? Is it repairable? And I have helped a lot of special needs families fix and repair their marriage. But if it is not fixable or repairable, then we move on to how can we be most amicable? Do we start with a mediator? If that doesn't work, you go to the attorney. So you always start with the least restrictive and try to prevent problems as you go, because you're going to be co-parenting with the other parent for many years.
Mm-hmm. Now, what type of things do we need to look for when we're going through this situation with special needs?
Absolutely. Well, in general, divorce is finances and divorce is custody issues.
Mm-hmm.
So most people, when they have children and they're dealing with the custody part of divorce, they're talking about a parenting plan and who's going to watch the children every other weekend. Monday, Wednesday, I'll take them and you take them Tuesday, Thursday. But in families that have special needs children, historically, one parent has stayed home to help that special needs child. And one parent has worked. So all of a sudden, there's a huge shift. If you are splitting custody time, that working parent will now have to pick up responsibilities they're not used to. And the stay-at-home parent will have to go out and get at least a part-time job. So there's a lot of details that need to be thought out before you jump into it.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of shifting that's going to be taking place within the family dynamic. So what happens to the actual child that's with special needs? I mean, because with all of this taking place, this must be very difficult, emotionally for the child, because things are really, changing so much in their world. So is there a way
Absolutely.
of handling that?
Yes. And for special needs children, change is extra hard and structure is extra important. And when you have two different households, you often have different bedtimes and different rules. So you want to stay on the same page as much as possible, which means that you want a contract that has as many details as possible that you can agree on. You also want to ease into it with the child and let them know at their developmentally appropriate level what is happening, and put supports in place. If they have a therapist, make sure you are bringing in the therapist to help them deal with it, making sure that they know it is not their fault and that they are loved by both parents and that there is nothing that they could have done differently. Parents often forget that. They say, it's not your fault, we love you, but the child thinks, maybe I should have done something differently. So reassuring them, and not just once, but time and time again, so it sinks in.
Yeah, because I would think that because they are special needs, it would be a little bit harder for them to be able to grasp this. And as they're moving forward, every little change that keeps happening is going to really, kind of set them off a little bit emotionally. So what about, caretakers and, funding and things like that? I mean, how do you handle those kind of things?
It's a very good question, which relates to the finance part of divorce. And when you're talking finances and divorce, there's four normal aspects. There's the spousal support, there's the child support, there's the split of the equitable distribution, sharing your assets and making up your debts that you both made. And the fourth part is add-ons. So when it relates to that child, we're looking at the add-on section and the child support. Child support normally, depending on the state, goes till 18 or 21. But if your special needs child is going to be dependent for a lifetime, you need to figure out those details, including guardianship, during the divorce contract. Otherwise, you're going to have another court battle once that child would be emancipated at state level. in addition to child support, making sure it's extended, you're also looking at those add-ons. Normally, add-ons include health insurance, extracurriculars, religious activities, camp or daycare activities, and academic needs. But for a special needs child who needs extra of all of that, extra doctor bills, therapists, medicine, possibly therapies in special needs schools, those bills and the finance and the numbers can greatly add up. So making sure that you put the details in the contract while you're making it, especially if you have a difficult ex, that they don't find loopholes. And so you don't have to spend more time and money and headache going back to court. So doing it right the first time.
You know, it's hard when you're trying to project the future, right? And you're trying to project the future of a special needs child. And sometimes you just don't know what's exactly going to happen. So let's talk a little bit about this guardianship that could possibly be formed. Is that something that you can help them with?
I am a resource provider, and I can help them find the resources that they need, and I can make sure the details are in the contract, and I can review the contract for them, and I can help them communicate effectively to their soon-to-be ex-spouse and to their attorney or mediator. And you always want to plan for the worst. And I don't say hope for the best. You have to work for the best. It takes work, but safeguard yourself in case your ideal situation doesn't fall through. So you're thinking of the what ifs and all the details. So I definitely can help them in that transition to adulthood. Are they going to have vocational school? Are they going to go to college? Or are they going to be in a group home and just have services provided there? Of course, when you talk about special needs, some of the people have physical, some have psychological, and some have both. And there's a range on all of it.
Yeah, it can be very complicated, can't it? You know,
Yeah.
you're looking at something, you're trying to project something out that you kind of have a little bit of the unknown. You're also trying to figure out your resources, which you're not quite sure. You know what you have now, but you're not sure what you have in the future. It really takes quite a specialty, and I think that is what is important that people need to understand, is that you can go to an attorney or you can go through various different things, but you need to make sure that you go to someone that's specialized in special needs, because Susan, you are. And so it's something that it's vital, because I'm just whirling around in my head thinking, oh gosh, I hope there's a checklist, and I'm sure you have something like that, right?
And it is individualized for every single client, because every divorce is different and every child situation is different. And as a coach, that's one of the ways I'm different than a therapist, is every time they leave me, they have an individual strategic action plan. So they're getting unstuck. It's no fun to be in limbo, and they are moving forward. It's up to them if they want to take baby steps or giant leaps and bounds. But my job is to help people figure out where they want to be and how to overcome those obstacles to achieve their goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it really is. I mean, when I sit here and think about what it can be, and I know that I had a lady in my divorce support group that, she was just at loose ends trying to figure out what to do with everything. And, and through a very difficult divorce. And I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, I wish she had had someone like you, because, I'm a coach, but I'm not a specialized coach in this field.
Right.
And so I really do feel that, we've said it time and time on this show, is that you do need to build your team when it comes to divorce. You need to, build the emotional part of it. Also, the support on, making sure that you have all of the right tools and access to, the proper attorneys or whatever you might very well need. So it is truly a team to be able to get through this. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about what it takes when you're going through a really difficult divorce. Because when you're going through a divorce with special needs, it's hard enough. But then when you've got a partner that is truly giving you a hard time, let's talk a little bit about what we can do to try to help those out there feel that they're not alone through this. Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you.
That'll be great. All right, everyone. We do have our elite guest here, Susan Korb Bernstein. We're talking about divorcing with children with special needs. Of course, you guys know that she is a certified divorce coach. She handles divorce transition and recovery. She's really a certified specialist. She best assists her clients' long-term needs, coaching specialties, and truly with high conflict, which is very important to know. I want to share her information with you before we go on break. You guys can contact Susan right here at 551-444-2609, Susan at Divorce Coach Plus, and that's Susan, SUSAN, at DIVORCECOACHPLUS.com. And then her website is divorcecoachplus.com. So definitely check out her website. She's got a lot of really great information there that you would be able to assist. And then if you need to reach out to her, you can contact her that way, or you can send her a message through her website. She'll contact you that way too. So thank you, Susan, so much. Hang with me for a minute and we'll be right back. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back. You guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are the #1 internet talk network for singles, and we're real proud of that. We want to thank you for joining us each time and listening to our shows, because you're making us that way, and we wouldn't be here without you. So we want to thank you so much for that. This show is called Going Solo with Cece. I am Cece Schatz, the doyenne of relationship building. I have wonderful guests here tonight, Dr. Susan Korb Bernstein, and we're talking about divorcing with children with special needs. Now, Susan is one of our elite guests. She's also she's a certified divorce coach, and she specializes with helping individuals through pre, during, and post-divorce, but really through some of those very difficult times, and helps them save money, save headaches, save some of that emotion, and just trying to help you get through. And here's the thing. When we're talking about divorce, we always just think about divorce, getting through that divorce. But the reality is that divorce is going to affect you long-term, right? And so, especially when we have children with special needs. So we have to look at divorce a little bit strategically and start planning for our future. And Susan is a specialist in this particular field. And so thank you, Susan, for being with us here today. We do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It is great having you. The first part of the show, we talked a lot about, kind of starting to, get together with the divorce, trying to move forward. You are really great with helping us understand that there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that we need to put in place. And it's all specialized with regards to the families and the special needs child. Let's talk a little bit about the family unit and a little bit about when you're having difficulty with a partner, and it can be either partner. I'm not putting the blame on anyone, but when you're having a difficult time, I mean, divorce is difficult. We have it sometimes. We have very difficult times getting through divorce. But when you're going through a very difficult divorce, how can we kind of minimize that?
Absolutely. So communication is key, and certainly helping clients communicate to their spouse, talking to them about their options. Do they want to try marriage therapy? Do they want and couples therapy? Do they want to try a trial separation to see how it would be if they were to be in two different homes and have to take turns with the children? And is that really what they want? So there's a lot of ways to prevent it and to talk through it and to try not to go through it. But of course, during that time, you want to keep the children's best interest in mind, including, obviously, as we're talking today, if there's a special needs child, their extra, conditions that they need, and the siblings. Often you have families with a special needs child and then the siblings, and the siblings get pushed to the side. You just assume they're going to be okay. And it is something that I urge families to make sure that they are not ignoring, neglecting, or assuming that the other siblings are going to be okay, and to give them that extra care during this difficult time.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that. I would assume, and of course it's just assuming, that even through just living with a family that has, siblings and a special needs child, the other children are kind of in the back burner, and you just can't help that sometimes because you really do have to put so much attention on the special needs child. So how do we overcome that? Do you kind of get together with the parents and try to work out some sort of when you're doing your parent planning with regards to the other children too?
Absolutely. I think when you label things such as traditions, for example, with another child, maybe every Thursday night is a dance party. Maybe every Sunday afternoon is a movie night. And saying to that other child, you're doing so great. A lot of my time has to go to your brother or sister, but I can't wait till our Thursday night dance party or our Sunday afternoon movie. And having those traditions and making it special time for them and labeling it so they look forward to it and feel special.
Yeah, that's great advice. And actually, that's advice, that can be great for any families, because often when you have more than one child, there's always someone feels like they don't get enough. So if you can kind of do that little special with them, they feel like they're really homing in on your attention and things like that. So that's really important. I know, my kids, they used to love to do, we would have, Sunday night dinner, and each one of them would be able to pick what they want for dinner, except for they couldn't pick hot dogs. I always told them it had to be something we cook, and it can't be hot dogs. And we would use our best, like we did for Thanksgiving, and they really like that. I mean, my one son, my older son, he talks about that all the time because he loved doing that. And
Yes.
so it's those special things that are so important. And I think when you have a child with special needs, doing things like that certainly would help keep the family a little bit more of a unit. So is there any particular advice you can give us, that we haven't really covered here?
Sure. There are mistakes that I always advise people to avoid because we want to learn from others' mistakes. So 3 mistakes to avoid. And we touched a little on all of this, but just to make sure your viewers know, number 1, you need a team. And that could be a support team of friends and neighbors and coworkers, but you need a professional team also, not just a lawyer or mediator. You also need someone to help you with the emotional aspect, a coach and a therapist, ideally both, and a financial person. Every attorney for a divorce, 99.9% of them will have a paragraph in the divorce agreement that says they are a legal expert and not a financial expert, and to consult a financial expert. So many people don't, or wait till the end and realize the numbers are off and they have to renegotiate, and tensions then get high. So my advice is have your home support team, but have your professional divorce support team with the legal, the emotional, and the financial support. So that's number one. Number two is related to that. It is the details of the contract. And we talked a little about this earlier, but you do not want a skeleton contract. You don't want verbal agreements. You don't want to assume anything that's current is going to stay current. You want every detail in the writing so there's no loopholes and there's no having to go back to court and have more time and money and headaches wasted. So the details are key. Don't throw in the towel. Don't throw in the towel. You will not be happy later. It's much harder to go back and change it. And the third mistake to avoid is, like I mentioned, not knowing your finances, making sure that the numbers are viable, thinking about tax implications. So often someone says, well, the home is worth $300,000 and the pension's worth $300,000. You take one, I'll take the other. They're taxed completely different. And when you're talking long-term special needs children, you need to look at lifetime finances, which also leads me into making sure you as that parent have life insurance, have disability insurance for yourself, because if something happens to you or your spouse, you want to make sure your child is taken care of to hopefully maintaining their quality of life. And even more so for a special needs child, you need to make sure that that money is appropriate. Many times children are eligible for SSI money or Medicaid, and if it's not appropriately allotted, that child might not be eligible. So really talking to attorneys who know special needs, financial specialists who know divorce and special needs, and coaches or therapists who understand divorce and special needs. And I do have national resources, almost like a hub, where someone can contact me for free. The first call is always free to get them started on finding those resources for them.
That is so important. And I say that over and over again now is that, you don't go, if you're going to go to a doctor now, you're going to go to a specialized doctor. It's the same thing with going through divorce. If you have a particular need, something that you need to be able to really be more aware of, you need to go and get a specialized a professional that's going to handle that. And I think this is so key that you mentioned the financial part of it, how strategic that is when you're planning for a special needs child. And I think both parents, they truly love their families. I mean, they truly want what's best for the kids, even though they might be arguing or whatever among themselves. When it comes down a push to shove, they do want what's best for them. So I think getting your team together that's going to all work together to achieve that goal will certainly make it a lot easier through the actual divorce process. So it's great having someone like you, Susan, definitely. So Dr. Susan Korb Bernstein, please, contact her if you guys are going through anything and you can handle a normal divorce, just one that's, without a special needs child. So just I want to make sure everybody knows that. But you do specialize in high conflict, which is something that when I was going through divorce 10 years ago, we didn't really talk about. We didn't talk about the high conflict. And so you're definitely someone that can handle a high conflict divorce, and also someone that can handle the children with special needs. So that is very, very important. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And it is hard because the conflict is higher sometimes, and the tensions are higher for special needs divorce. There's more components to it. And, high conflict divorce involves custody battles, it involves hidden money, it involves domestic violence. And if all these factors are in play, you need to make sure you have someone who's capable to help you deal with it and get through to the other side, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But while you're going through that tunnel, it can be quite dark, and you can feel alone if you don't reach out to the right resources. And there's many free resources for people. They just need to be aware of them so that they don't continue that even post-divorce or post-separation abuse. We want to help people not just pre and during, but post as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would think too, with special needs children, you're gonna have something after. It's going to be an ongoing situation. So here's the thing is, so if you're arguing and fighting and you're making this a really high conflict divorce, down the road, you're still going to be having to deal with some issues as your child, gets older. And so, it's to try to think about those things as you're moving forward in divorce, and trying to rectify it as gracefully as you possibly can, right?
Absolutely. I help individuals document things if they need things documented. I'm trained in that. I'm trained in helping them with their mindset and strategy so that their ex doesn't trigger them. Because when you go through this, you want to be able to look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and say, I stayed classy. They were trying to trigger me. They were trying to make me my worst, but I was the best that I could be and the best parent I could be. And I'm proud of how I handled that. And that you need help with. It's hard, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it is so great to have you, because like you said, you've got all of the resources available to them. You have the experience, so maybe what they haven't thought about, you're kind of one step ahead, right? Because you have thought about it, you have experienced it. We learn by our experiences, so what situations could arise as you progress, going down the road. And so it's so vital. And so again, you can help people, nationwide. Am I correct?
Yes, in all 50 states. I help people in 5 other countries. And you are right. I have 3 children. My oldest daughter has severe special needs, and I get it. I
Mhm.
get it. And talking to someone else who maybe just read about it, it's a different feeling than having lived it. And the same thing with the high conflict. And like you said, so many times they tie together. So when you're working with someone who really understands where you're coming from and where you want to be, makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, definitely. And talking about the situations, and as you move forward and as you progress forward, it is truly important to have everything documented, everything, really thought through, well planned as you go through. And that gives you a sense of security, doesn't it? It gives the families a sense of security to be able to move forward.
I tell my clients that they will sleep better at night after a session with me, and they do agree. And they laugh because I don't let them hang up the phone unless they're going to tell me what they're going to commit to for self care to decrease their stress. And
Mhm.
so many people in general, as a parent, and additionally, if you have a special needs child, you don't have any time for yourself. But you need that. You need to refresh yourself so you can be the best. And I help hold them accountable and see that there's many things you can do for free. It doesn't even cost money to reduce your stress to be your best self.
Wow, that's great. It's great advice. Well, we're going to probably have to wrap up the show, but I want to make sure everyone gets all of your information and that they can contact you. Now, you are located in the metropolitan New York area, but again, like you said, you've dealt with individuals in other countries, you've dealt with them nationally. So if someone's, getting divorced in California or Florida or New York or Washington, it doesn't matter. You
Correct.
can actually help them.
And I am a leader for Vesta Divorce and the National Association of Divorce Professionals. So because I'm a leader for these divorce organizations, I have all the vetted resources that they could possibly need as well.
That's wonderful. That's great, great information. So again, your phone number is 551-444-2609. To contact her on our email, it's Susan@divorcecoachplus.com. And then our website is divorcecoachplus.com. And so are there any last words you'd like to leave us with today?
What I can tell everyone is that I do work day, night, and weekend, that it's always confidential. It's non-judgmental, and I'm there to make it smoother for them. And that's, happened in my own life, and why me? So I can help others. I'm trying to make lemonade out of the lemons.
Oh, absolutely. And I know you're helping hundreds and thousands of people actually to be able to move through, this divorce and trying to get to the other side of it so they can build a happy, solid life for themselves. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate you letting me be on this, and hopefully it helped your viewers as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sure it has. I truly appreciate it. Well, the show went by very quickly, didn't it? And this is Going Solo with Cece. I am Cece Schatz, a doyen of relationship building. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You guys can reach me at goingsolonetwork.com. All of our information is on there, including our Going Solo media. You can also send me an email if you'd like. I love to get your emails. Tell me what you like to hear, what you didn't like. Is always a positive thing for us, because then we can move forward and change what we're doing. But my email is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. I would like to encourage you to reach out to someone like Dr. Susan Bernstein, because she has been there. She has walked in the shoes of going through a very high conflict divorce. She knows what it's like to deal with having a special needs child. And she also, has experienced many, many divorces, helped many people, and really has established a great team for you to be able to, look at the resources, try to figure out what's best for you going forward. The reality is that where we're at today is not where we're going to be tomorrow. So let's try to make a smooth transition so we can get to the place we truly want to be, right? And we want to be that in a whole way with our families intact. So I hope you guys got something from this show. I hope you'll reach out again. I want to share her information because I think it's so vital. Again, her phone number is 551-444-2609. Again, you can reach her at Susan@divorcecoachplus.com, or just go straight to her email. Her website is divorcecoachplus.com. She's got a tremendous amount of information on there, blogs and all kinds of resources that you can connect with. And then send her a message and let her know what you're doing, what's going on with you, how she can help you. And she will definitely reach out right back to you. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope that you've gotten something from it. And if you need anything, of course, all you have to do is just reach out to Going Solo Network. We're here for you. So I love you. Thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.